three of the most significant slave rebellions in Jamaica. A legacy of resistance won. Morant Bay Rebellion. What was it? The Morant Bay Rebellion was an uprising on October 11, 1865, by Jamaica's black population against British colonial oppression. Led by Paul Bogle, a preacher and landowner, the rebellion began in St. Thomas as impoverished Jamaicans protested injustices like land scarcity, unfair taxation, and lack of political representation. Why did it happen? Despite the abolition of slavery in 1834, conditions for freed slaves remained dire, with low wages and widespread poverty. Tensions escalated when a local man faced harsh treatment in court, prompting Bogle and about 400 followers to march to Morant Bay demanding justice. Who was involved? The rebellion was led by Paul Bogle and involved around 400 protesters, mostly poor farmers and laborers. The colonial authorities, led by Governor Edward Eyre, responded with local militia and British troops to suppress the uprising. The aftermath. The colonial response was brutal. Around 500 people were killed, many executed without trial, including Bogle and George William Gordon, a supporter of the oppressed. The backlash in Britain against Governor Eyre led to his recall, and Jamaica became a crown colony, marking a significant shift in governance. Second Maroon Wars. What were they? The Maroon Wars were a series of conflicts in the 18th century between Jamaica's Maroons, descendants of runaway slaves, and the British colonial government. The most notable were the First Maroon War, 1720 to 1739, and the Second Maroon War, 1795 to 1796, as the Maroons defended their autonomy against British control. Why did they happen? The wars were sparked by tensions between the Maroons and British planters after Jamaica became a British colony in 1655. Many enslaved Africans fled to Maroon communities, increasing fears among plantation owners of uprisings. The First Maroon War arose from British attempts to suppress Maroon independence, while the Second Maroon War was fueled by disputes over land and continued sanctuary offered to runaway slaves. Who was involved? The Maroon Wars featured the Maroons, primarily descendants of Africans, and the British colonial government, which was backed by white planters who sought to maintain control over the island. The aftermath. The First Maroon War ended in 1739 with treaties between the British and Maroon leaders, particularly Cudjoe, allowing the Maroons to maintain their independence and control over their lands. However, tensions over land disputes and support for runaway slaves led to the Second Maroon War in 1795. After intense battles, the British subdued the Maroons, deporting many to Nova Scotia. Despite this defeat, the Maroons remained symbols of resistance in Jamaica, with modern communities like Accompong and Moortown continuing to govern themselves based on the historical treaties. 3. The Baptist War, or Christmas Rebellion, occurred in 1831 to 1832 and mobilized around 60,000 enslaved individuals, marking it as the largest slave rebellion in the British Caribbean. Triggered by economic depression and rising tensions over the abolition of slavery, the rebellion was organized by Samuel "Daddy" Sharp. It began on Christmas Day with a strike for better conditions, escalating into violent resistance against plantation owners. The rebellion faced brutal suppression, with over 200 rebels killed and Sharp executed. However, the Baptist War catalyzed Britain's eventual move toward full emancipation in 1838. Conclusion. The Morant Bay Rebellion, the Maroon Wars, and the Baptist War collectively represent significant struggles for autonomy, justice, and human rights in Jamaica's history. Each uprising highlighted the deep-seated grievances of the enslaved and oppressed, revealing the relentless pursuit of freedom against colonial oppression. While these conflicts were met with brutal repression, they ultimately played a crucial role in shaping Jamaica's path toward independence and civil rights, leaving a lasting legacy of resistance that continues to resonate in the country's culture today.